You know, we're all taught to see emotional pain as a problem, right? Something to be fixed or just gotten over as fast as possible. But what if that's looking at it completely backwards? What if, from an ancient spiritual perspective, pain isn't the obstacle blocking your clarity? What if it's the actual path to it? Let's dive into that.
So this is really the core question, isn't it? Is pain just this random, awful thing that happens to us? Some kind of cosmic punishment we're supposed to dodge at all costs? Well, the perspective we're digging into today has a radically different and, honestly, a much more empowering answer.
Okay, so here's our roadmap. First, we're going to reframe pain not as an accident, but as an initiation. Then we'll tackle why comfort is actually a huge illusion. After that, we'll look at some epic stories that prove this point, uncover the spiritual law behind it all, and finally, bring it all home to what it means when this pain shows up in your life.
All right, let's jump right into this first big idea. What if we stop seeing pain as an ending and start seeing it for what it truly is, a powerful and absolutely necessary beginning, an initiation?
This right here, this isn't just a nice thought, it's a complete shift in perspective. It means the pain you feel isn't some cosmic receipt for what you did wrong. No, it's a signal. It's a sign of what you are getting ready to become.
And here's the spiritual logic behind it. If we want to get to clarity, real, deep clarity, we have to go through a transformation. And that transformation always means breaking down old structures, old ideas about ourselves. And let's be honest, that process is never comfortable. There are just no shortcuts.
So, if pain is the catalyst, the thing that gets the change going, what's the obstacle that's helping us break through? Well, the answer is kind of ironic. It's the one thing we all chase after: comfort.
This brings us to this amazing Sanskrit concept called tapas. Now, it literally translates to heat or fire, but a better way to think of it is as a kind of spiritual friction. It's the intense internal heat you feel during difficult times, and its purpose is to purify your consciousness, to burn away all the non-essential stuff. It's funny, even modern psychology has a term for this: post-traumatic growth.
And this slide just lays it out so clearly. On one side, you have comfort. It feels good, sure, but spiritually, it just strengthens the ego. It wraps us in this cozy blanket of forgetfulness about who we really are. But pain, it does the exact opposite. It shatters the ego's illusions and forces us into a state of raw, unavoidable awareness. And look, this isn't some new age idea, not at all. In fact, this pattern is woven into some of the most powerful and timeless stories ever told. Let's look at a few examples. First, think about Lord Shiva. I mean, after the absolutely devastating loss of his wife, Sati, his grief is so immense, it doesn't just make him angry or bitter, it makes him completely still. He retreats into the deepest meditation. And here's the key. It is out of that profound, pain-induced stillness that his supreme awareness is born. Or what about Arjuna, the greatest warrior of his age? Standing on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he sees that he has to fight his own family. And his strength, his entire identity, just evaporates. He completely breaks down and drops his bow. He surrenders. And it's only in that moment of being totally broken that he becomes empty enough to receive the divine wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita from Krishna. And finally, Ram. Here's a prince who loses everything: his kingdom, his rightful place, his wife. But here's the thing, he doesn't become the legend we know in the comfort of the palace. No, it's out there, in the forest, through years of suffering and loss, that his character is forged into the very symbol of dharma, of righteous living. So you start to see it, right? These stories aren't just random tragedies. They reveal a very distinct pattern. You could even call it a spiritual law that governs the journey from suffering to clarity. And it's a simple three-step process. First, attachment. We all do it. We get attached to people, to our jobs, to who we think we are. Then, because nothing in life is permanent, that attachment will inevitably lead to the pain of loss. But, and this is the most important part, if you can stay with that pain, it becomes the very force that shatters your attachments and illusions, which finally creates the space for clarity to come in. So what's the point of all this? The pain isn't meaningless. Its spiritual function is incredibly precise. It's designed to break down the fortress of our ego, that small, scared self we cling to, so that a much deeper, more profound truth has a chance to emerge. Now, this might be the most radical example of this principle. In the Mahabharata, the great matriarch Kunti, she doesn't pray for peace, she doesn't pray for comfort, she actually prays for more suffering.
Why? Because she understands that comfort makes you forgetful, but pain keeps you connected to what is real. It's just an absolutely astonishing way to view the world.
So, after all this, what does it mean for you and me? Right here, right now. How do we take this profound, and let's face it, pretty challenging idea and apply it to our own lives?
Well, this brings us to the final and maybe the most important takeaway of all. I want you to think about a time you felt deep emotional pain. According to everything we've just talked about, its arrival in your life is not a mistake. It is not a sign that you failed or that you're weak.
It's a signal. It's a profound message that on a soul level, you are ready. You're ready for a deeper truth. You're ready to let go of an old story about yourself and to finally see with real clarity. The pain, in a way, is just the universe announcing that your time has come.
And so we're left with this powerful, beautiful sequence. It isn't random chaos. It's an order of operations for the soul. The heartbreak isn't the tragedy we think it is. It's actually the beginning. It's the necessary shattering of illusion that finally makes space for truth to appear.